Welcome back to RollerCoaster Tycoon. I did say I was going to do like one level per month, 1 to 2 levels. So basically we're on to the expansion packs now. I know I did promise to finish up Lego Star Wars 2, the original trilogy, but considering it's E3 and I'm going to kind of like discuss that a little bit now because pretty much all the conferences are done with. There's only one more conference, and that is the PC conference, which I don't actually know what that's going to be talking about. I don't know whether that's about games, hardware, or both. It's probably going to be good though. Anyway, so first things first, I'll just quickly check this out. Park value. Blah blah blah. Alright, yeah, so E3. It's actually been a really good year for pretty much everything except Nintendo. Nintendo actually, I'll just quickly mention Nintendo because Nintendo's actually just pretty much finished about a half hour ago. But basically everybody was kind of pissed off at the end of the Nintendo conference because there was practically nothing at all announced for the Wii U. Personally, I mean, I've talked about this before. I mean, even if Nintendo doesn't release any more games at all for the Wii U and completely drops it, I'm just gonna soft mod it and pretty much get value out of the system that way. So it really doesn't matter that much to me. I mean, obviously I'd rather play something on it, but if Nintendo don't release any more stuff for it, then it's not really the biggest loss in the world. It's not like something like the PS Vita or whatever. But at least if the Vita gets hacked, I think the Vita has actually been hacked, but you can only play PSP games on it. Anyway, we're getting way off topic here. So anyway, pretty much the whole E3 was kicked off with the Bethesda conference, which I pretty much watched because honestly Fallout 4 is pretty much the most hyped game for me at E3 and probably of the generation over pretty much anything else. I mean, Final Fantasy 15 is pretty much the only other thing, but I'm kind of losing interest in that, to be honest. It's taken far too long for that game to come out at this point, so I'm pretty much just not even going to bother looking at news regarding that until it's pretty much near complete, which I don't know. I really don't know what's going on with that game. That wasn't even at E3 apparently. It was apparently Bethesda, what am I talking about? Square Enix doesn't even talk about that anymore. It's just been far too long, and so anyway, I'll getting back to the Bethesda. So they kicked off the show with Doom, which looked pretty awesome to me. It looks old school, which is pretty much the biggest appeal for the game. Anyone who grew up playing Doom pretty much appreciates anything that demo pretty much delivered, to be honest. So that was a good start to the conference. I mean, obviously everybody was waiting for the main event, which is Fallout. I don't know, man. It pretty much just delivered on everything. I mean, I don't think they could have had a better showing for Fallout 4. But I mean, I did a live impressions video for that game, for the the whole reveal thing. So I mean, it just I still say that the protagonist should not be voiced though. That kind of like annoys the hell out of me. I mean, to be honest, I mean, when I was watching it, when he's like talking to other characters, I mean, that's fair enough. That's okay. But when the cursor hovers over items like the sugar bombs and whatnot, and he was like pretty much commenting on everything, and it was just kind of annoying, to be honest. I kind of see that getting quite old quite fast, but I don't know, maybe you can turn it off. But the game itself just looks amazing. I mean, honestly, if you didn't want a next-gen system before now, then you probably do now. But I'll probably wait for the Game of the Year edition anyway, because I mean, a lot of people can't wait for that, but I'm quite good at waiting for stuff. I mean, I did it with Fallout 3, I did it with New Vegas. It doesn't really bother me that much, especially when you're going to get a more complete game. And there's other stuff releasing as well, but anyone who's buying it on day one, it's pretty obvious why. It just looks so amazing. I mean, it's probably, I mean, Bethesda's probably my favourite developer right now. I mean, I know the games they release are pretty much broken on release anyway, but considering how big the games are, you can't really expect 100% perfect, no glitches or anything. So, and then I was watching the you know, the demo, and it was all the Xbox controller and whatnot, and I was thinking, well, Microsoft always gets exclusive DLC, so I was pretty much expecting that. But when Todd Howard came out at Microsoft's conference, it was actually mods on console. So I don't know whether, some people are saying that's multi-plat, some people are saying it's probably going to be an exclusive feature. Someone said in the bottom left corner that it said content only on Xbox or something, so maybe it was only the Xbox version getting mods. But honestly, even though it's getting mods, it's not that big of a deal, because you know the mods are going to be half-assed compared to the PC version. They're going to restrict all kinds of stuff. You know, you're not going to get any mods that are like completely redesign the whole map or something like that, or extend the map beyond the borders. If they do manage to do that, I'll be pretty impressed, but I really don't think. I think it's just going to be stuff like, you know, weapons, skins, basic stuff like that. It's not going to really do anything. But honestly, the game probably doesn't need modding that much anyway. I mean, obviously with the whole, you know, if you've played Fallout 3 and Oblivion and whatnot, there's always this thing called the unofficial patch, which basically fixes a load of bugs. If that's compatible with the console version, then that's pretty much going to be the biggest deal about it. But in terms of all the user creation stuff, it's probably going to be very limited. But like I was about to say though, when I watched the demo and whatnot, there's a lot of customization already in the game for weapons and creating your own house and stuff. So you don't really, you're still gonna have awesome mods coming out, but it's not gonna be like, you know, Fallout 3 where you're eventually gonna finish it and there's pretty much nothing else gonna be happening. So yeah, let's just wait and see first of all. But you know, and then there was like the scene with the jetpack and whatnot. I mean, no one else seems to be discussing the jetpack, but I think it's an awesome feature that they've actually put that in. I mean, open world games you expect to be pretty, I don't know where I can put this, hold on. Looking for some sort of, I'll just put it there. Yeah, I didn't expect them to have like jetpacks and stuff like that. I mean, even when San Andreas had the jetpack, I was pretty surprised, because open world, you know, the firmware it's going to have to keep up with that shit going on. I mean, it depends how fast you can go with it, and how high up you can go, and of course how quick you can go. I mean, I don't expect you to be able to go right up in the sky and go like super fast across the map, because that will just make the firmware go down to about 10 on the consoles. But it's there, you know. I don't know, it might just be like some sort of little hover mode that you can do for like maybe 5 seconds and then that's it, but it's still something. But the biggest surprise for me was the release date. I mean, I didn't expect that to be coming out at such you know, I expected it to be around next year sometime, like spring. So they've kind of outdone themselves there, but at the end of on the other hand, they've pretty much been developing it for God knows how long. I mean, straight after Skyrim, they were actually, he said they were planning it just after the Fallout 3 release. Damn, that's a long way up, that is. They were working on it just like after Fallout 3, so it's pretty much been in the planning stages for quite some time, but it's just now being revealed and pretty much getting a release straight away. So, you know, it's coming out like 5 months after it's been announced. That's quite crazy. Most games, let alone AAA games, get that kind of release. So yeah, I mean, Bethesda's conference, I mean, pretty much everyone was just waiting for Fallout 4, to be honest, and it was totally worth waiting for, because it delivered in my opinion. And of course they announced that other Fallout game, Fallout Shelter, on iOS, which unfortunately I can't play because I don't have an iOS device, but it kind of makes me want to buy an iOS device just to play the game. It looks pretty awesome. Apparently it's coming out on Android at some point. I mean, that doesn't surprise me, to be honest, but I don't know when it's coming out on Android, so gotta wait and see on that one. So yeah, that was pretty much the Bethesda conference. I mean, there was a few mentions. There was a Elder Scrolls card game coming out or something. I have no interest in that, but you know, I'm sure some people like that kind of thing. And then of course there was Dishonored 2, which I've never played the first one, so I can't really comment on that. Some people say that the first one was boring as hell though, so I think it's kind of one of those unwarranted sequels that nobody really cares about, but most people probably give it a shot anyway. So yeah, so that was pretty much the Bethesda conference. In my opinion, the Bethesda conference was overall second best. Yeah, I couldn't really fault it, and especially for their first conference as well. So that was, you know, they pretty much did what they had to do. They came out, they talked about the biggest release of the generation so far, and then boom, that's it. So then next day, about one thing I will mention, by the way, I don't ever watch EA or Ubisoft, so if you expect me to talk about those, I have no idea what happened, but apparently I didn't miss anything anyways. So that's that. So yeah, so basically next day Microsoft, and I've got to be honest, Microsoft was actually pretty decent. Some people actually say they had the best conference. I wouldn't go that far, but they did have a decent conference. They kicked off the show with Halo, if I'm not mistaken, they kicked off with Halo, which is actually, I was pretty surprised at that, because they always, every year, kick off with Call of Duty. And someone actually picked up on this about a week ago. Someone said that on the Xbox page, they have like a game section on the Xbox website, and it says, you know, content first on Xbox or whatever underneath whichever game has that. So like the Division has that, and the Call of Duty page didn't actually have that listed. So you know, people were speculating whether or not the contract had run out, because Microsoft pretty much always had a contract with Activision over this to always get the exclusive content and whatnot. And they kicked off with Halo, and we later found out that at the Sony conference, Sony now has a contract with Activision, so Sony's pretty much stole Microsoft's little contract, which in my opinion, this is just petty nonsense, to be honest. Exclusive DLC, come on, shouldn't really be having that. I mean, the industry's kind of going in a shit place anyway with stuff like that, so I'm not surprised, but at the end of the day, it's still stupid that they're doing stuff like exclusive DLC when really that money should be going towards first, second party developments. But what are you gonna do? But yeah, so they pretty much did Halo 5. I didn't really watch Halo. I don't have an interest in Halo, to be honest, so I didn't really watch it. I kind of like went off, did something else until it was finished. I can't actually remember a whole lot from the Microsoft conference, if I'm honest, but I do remember that they announced the Xbox 360 backwards compatibility, and of course that is a big deal for a lot of people. A lot of people pretend that it isn't a big deal, but it really kind of is, because, you know, not every game is going to get a HD remaster, and sometimes you want to replay old games, so I don't really see the problem with people who are like, you know, some people will bring up the point of backwards compatibility, and everyone will be like, oh, you know, you bought the console for new games, right? Blah blah blah. That always comes up. But at the end of the day, you know, a game's a game, no matter how old it is. If I want to replay something from 1996, I will. And if I can play it on the console that I've currently got without having to hook up another console, then it's a win-win. But so yeah, so basically they announced this Xbox 360 backwards compatibility, and I don't quite understand how it works, but apparently you can use your old retail discs. But someone said that if you put the retail disc in, it gives you a download for the Xbox. So basically, these games have been like sort of recompiled for the Xbox One with some code tweaks and whatnot to actually work on the system. So you basically pop the game in and then download it. That's what some people are saying. I don't think it's like that, to be honest. I think it'll just work off the disc, because they said that it was 100% compatible with all games. The only thing that didn't make it 100% was the fact that they had to whitelist games, so some games won't be compatible. Like, for example, most of the definitive edition releases and whatnot will probably blacklist their games, so people have to buy the re-release, which makes sense. But I know it's greedy as hell, but it makes sense, I guess. But that was like the biggest deal at the conference, to be honest, and that's what a lot of people are saying they won the overall conference for. I mean, it is a big deal, and it's definitely better than Sony's PS Now thing. I mean, I don't think Sony's going to have any option to do anything like that anyways, because the architecture of the PS3 is completely different for the PS4. So Sony doesn't really have a choice. They have to kind of do it like a streaming platform, because I mean, they might be working on well, not an emulator, but some sort of like system where the PS3 game can run on the PS4 hardware. I don't know. I mean, I remember when the people were saying about the PS2 backwards compatibility on the PS3, and people were saying that once they took the Emotion engine out of the PS3, because the PS3 FATs, well, the 60GB had the Emotion engine. Once they took that out, that they could never really have backwards compatibility again, because they said that it wouldn't work off software alone. But Sony eventually did actually do it. It took a few years, but they actually did get PS2 games running software only on the PS3. I mean, you had to rebuy them on the PSN, obviously, but they still did it. So I don't know. I mean, I think it's going to be a lot harder than that, though. It's a lot more complicated now, but I don't know, man. We'll see, but I don't think Sony's going to be able to do anything like that with the PS4. What else was that at 360? There was a Rare collection, Rareware. I don't know what it was called. It was called what was it called? Rare Retro Collection or something. It's basically 30 games from Rare over the past, like, well, you know, all the old ones like Perfect Dark and whatnot. I think Battletoads is on there as well. Yeah, it's $30, so it's basically 30 games for $30, so it's $1 per game, which is a really good deal. I mean, the games are old as hell, but still. That was pretty decent. And of course they announced a new controller as well, the Elite controller. It apparently works on both the Xbox One and the PC. I don't know. I don't quite get what the big deal with that is, though, because people are like saying it's a really good controller. I mean, it's $150, by the way. So personally, I would never pay that much on a controller, no matter how good it felt. But it basically looks like just like the Xbox One controller, but it works on both the PC and the Xbox One. But it's got like you can take the analog sticks out, you know, the convex ones, and put concave ones in and switch them around and stuff like that. So you can do that, and there's some sort of like there's pedals on the back. I don't quite get how they work, to be honest. I don't really see how it's worth $150, but I'm sure somebody who's an expert in controllers will see that it is actually worth that. But you know, for me, I would probably never ever pay that for a controller, no matter what. What else did they show? Oh yeah, I think to finish up, they pretty much showed off. They did virtual reality on Minecraft, I think. I kind of missed that part though. And then to finish up, they finished with Gears Ultimate Edition, which is Gears of War 1. I don't think it's a collection actually. I think it's just Gears of War 1, but redone. You know, 1080p, 60 frames per second, etc. But it gives you beta access for Gears 4, apparently. So, I mean, there's a lot of things at Microsoft's conference, but I just can't actually remember most of them, to be honest. But it was a decent show, and I'll tell you that much. It was probably, in my opinion, the third best after Bethesda. Maybe at a push on level with Bethesda, so maybe joint second place, I'm not sure. But it was definitely a decent conference, that's for sure. And, so yes, that was pretty much Microsoft, but you know, I did actually kind of miss a bit of that, to be honest. But it wasn't as bad as Sony's conference, because I actually missed half an hour of that conference. I didn't actually know Sony was on that early, so I actually missed 30 minutes of Sony's conference. I think I pretty much. I looked up what had been happening. Apparently I only missed The Last Guardian, Street Fighter 5 I think, and No Man's Sky. So I didn't, other than The Last Guardian, I pretty much didn't miss anything, to be honest. I mean, No Man's Sky, to me, I've pretty much talked about this before, and I just don't really get the point of that game. It just seems to me that it's just, you get in a spaceship, you go to a planet, you explore, you get back in the spaceship, you go to another planet, you explore, and that's it. I'm sure it's good in its own little way, but to me it just doesn't seem like a very appealing game. I mean, I remember playing Flower, and everyone was praising this game, and I played it, and I just didn't really think much of it, to be honest. I mean, even David Jaffe said he said it was like his game of the year or something, and to be honest, David Jaffe is like one of my most respected developers. You know, he's a really great guy, but I just couldn't agree with him on this, or any of the other people, to be honest. I just didn't really get Flower. I mean, it's supposed to be a you know, a relaxing game, like you play it and it's relaxing, but to me it just kind of, I don't know, it was just kind of frustrating, if anything, because sometimes you'd like turn the control, because it was motion control only in the 6-axis, and to be honest, sometimes it just wouldn't actually control properly, so I was like, you know, twisting, turning the controller, trying to get the shit to move, and it just would never work for me, so I was just like, I don't like this game, you know. I mean, it's good that it was an original game, and it's the same with No Man's Sky. That's an original game, so you know, I commend them for that. But they've come up with an original idea, but it just doesn't seem to really appeal to me. And a lot of people are going nuts over this game, but I really don't see what's so great about it, to be honest. It looks like one of those games you play for about 10 minutes and then you're pretty much done with it. But, you know, at the end of the day, at least they're trying to come up with something original. They could just come up with just yet another shooter that's completely unoriginal. It's been done to death. I'm kind of glad we're actually starting to see, like, the shooting genre isn't dying out, but it is starting to calm down a little bit. I will say that. It's kind of, it was getting to the point where, you know, you were getting shooter upon shooter upon shooter, and people, I was just, well, I don't know if anyone else was, but I'm pretty sure they were. It was just getting so out of hand. There was just far too many shooting games. You know, I don't mind shooters, but when you've got so many like that, it's just, you know, come on, come up with something else. Everyone was making shooters at one point last gen. I can't put that there. Oh, can I put it there? Yeah. So yeah, so anyway, so I missed the beginning of Sony's conference, so that was a good start. But I did see the main stuff coming out, and Sony pretty much delivered. I mentioned it a few weeks ago. I said that Sony pretty much needs to pull something out of the bag. They totally pulled something out of the bag. They pulled several things out of the bag. You couldn't really fault Sony's conference, to be honest. Obviously the biggest deal was the first thing they announced, I think, was World of Final Fantasy, I think it's called. And this is like a cutesy style FF kind of game, like a... It looks like that, what's it called? You know, on the DS, that music game. I don't know how you pronounce it, that theatrical, whatever the hell it's called. The graphics kind of look like that a little bit, but it's not like a music game, it's actually kind of... It looks to me like it's a bit more like a Final Fantasy game where you go exploring, level up and stuff like that. So I don't know, that looks actually kind of decent, to be honest. And the surprising part was that it's actually on the Vita as well. So we're actually getting, for the first time ever, well, not for the first time ever, but for the first time in a long time, we actually got a Vita game that is actually not an indie game. Like, I was like, whoa, Vita, really? The Vita lives. So yeah, that actually looks really good, actually, though, and it comes out next year as well, so I might actually pretty much check that out, because it does look pretty damn good. But of course, the biggest deal was the remake of one of the most popular games ever made. It's my favourite game of all time. Anyone who's pretty much been watching my videos, I don't actually go on about it that much, to be honest, but yeah, it's my favourite game ever. It's Final Fantasy VII. It's getting remade, and if I'm completely honest with you, I wasn't that hyped for it. It came up on the screen, I saw it coming, by the way. I mean, you could tell it was Final Fantasy VII Remake coming up, because some douche pretty much leaked the damn thing before the show. I hate when stuff gets leaked, to be honest. I think from now on, I'm just going to kind of like stay away from internet forums during the lead up to E3, like maybe about a month before E3. I'll probably just stop looking up news and stuff. But yeah, the game was pretty much leaked, so it kind of spoilt the surprise. But you know, it came up. It was like talking about you know, the reunion and stuff like that, and it was like totally obvious that it was Final Fantasy VII. But yeah, it came up on the screen, and I was like, yeah, it's Final Fantasy VII. The problem is because we've been waiting so long for this remake to finally happen, that it finally happens, and it's just like, you know, this should have happened years ago. You know, it was kind of like a, well, yeah, we're finally getting it, but you know, this should have happened a long time ago, to be honest, but at least we're finally getting it anyways. Interesting to note, though, that it's actually not going to be exclusive to the PlayStation. It says on PlayStation First, which pretty much points to an Xbox One release. I'm kind of like confused with Square Enix right now, because they've announced quite a few games at their conference as well, by the way. The conference has just finished, and they've announced like a bunch of games. I think they've announced Nier 2, which is actually PS4 exclusive, and a lot of games that lost, what was it called, World of Final Fantasy, The Lost World. What the hell am I doing? Getting into Jurassic Park now. Anyways, yeah, they announced World of Final Fantasy, which is actually exclusive to the PS4 and the, well, it's, you know, it's PlayStation exclusive. So they're kind of like, you know, they're sticking with the Xbox One, but they still kind of like want to go back to being exclusive for PlayStation. I don't know, man, whatever's going on, but still. I mean, the other platform is probably going to be PC as well, because of course more and more developers are getting into PC now. I'm probably going to I'm trying to get into PC gaming, to be honest. I mean, it's... Oh, man, how am I supposed to get back to that station? I've kind of screwed this up. Oh. Alright. Yeah, they've basically announced a bunch of stuff. They're basically... Some stuff's PlayStation exclusive. Well, actually, most stuff is PlayStation exclusive. I think the only things that are coming to the Xbox One from Square at this point are the big stuff like Kingdom Hearts, Final Fantasy 15, and probably Final Fantasy 7 Remake. Like I said, it came up at the end saying for PS4, coming to PS4 first or something weird like that. They always make weird ass little statements at the end, but still. It's probably definitely going to be on the PC, but what the other platform is going to be, I don't know. It might only be on the only other platform might be the PC. You don't know. But to be completely honest with you guys, I don't even expect it to come out this generation. It's going to be another one of these games where you pretty much... You can come back 5 years from now and we still won't have it. I bet you any money we still don't have the game in our hands in like 3, 4, 5 years time, and it'll probably end up being like Final Fantasy 15 and end up on the PS5 or something stupid like that. Because they're just taking absolutely... Oh man, I can't get this thing done. This is a nightmare, this one. I mean, you know, hopefully I'm wrong, but it's probably not even that far. It's probably... They haven't probably done much to it. Because at the end of the day, all we got was a CGI trailer, which doesn't really count for anything. It could be... It'll probably be years off. But... That's not really... God, I can't freaking do this stupid roller coaster. Alright, finally. Right. Yeah, so... You know, if... When it comes out, I'll get it for sure, because I'm the biggest fan ever, but... And then of course you've got the usual discussions on, is it going to be action based, is it going to be turn based? And personally I hope it's turn based. Honestly, all I want them to do is redo the graphics, and that's it. But they're not going to do that because they're going to do everything from scratch, of course they are. Yeah, if I'm completely honest, all I want them to do is redo the graphics. You know, leave the gameplay. I don't even want voice acting in the game, if I'm honest. I'd be happy with the speech bubbles. Just like the hold on, just make sure that this actually gets around. Yeah, it looks like it's going to be okay. I'd be happy with just the speech bubbles, to be honest. If they're just stuck with the talking like that, the text, I'd be absolutely fine with it, but you know, they're probably going to do... Oh, damn it, man, I can't freaking... There's always a problem with this thing. Can I even go up that high? Yeah. Right. Yeah, I mean, I'm gonna get it either way, even if it ends up being a terrible game. I mean, I'm pretty sure they're gonna screw it up some way or another. And some people, you can't please everybody, especially when remaking a game. So, you know, someone's gonna be disappointed, and I'm probably gonna be one of those people, because, you know, I want the remake, but there's gonna be some changes in it that you're just not gonna be happy with. There's going to be something in it that's like been either changed or completely removed, and it's just going to probably ruin it. But you know, people have asked for this so much and they're finally getting it, so you can't really complain, really. You know, we are actually getting it, so we'll see how it goes. But it's never going to beat the original anyway. You know, and that's kind of what the point that I make, that every time, you know, when something's remade, even if the remake's like absolutely the worst thing ever, I mean, you know, like the Metal Gear Solid Twin Snakes, I mean, some people like that. I personally don't think that's a good remake. I think that's one of the worst remakes, to be honest. But you know, what I always say is that no matter how bad a remake is, you're always going to have the original game. So you know, it's not like every time you replay the game, you have to replay the remake. You can just go ahead and replay the old one, which is probably what I'm going to do anyway. I'll probably get Final Fantasy VII Remake, play through it once, and if I like it, then I'll replay it a bunch of times, obviously in the future after that. But whether I like it or not, I'm still going to replay the original from time to time, because that's pretty much the one that you fell in love with in the first place. So it's going to be that one that you're going to always replay. So yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, it's good news, and it pretty much won E3 for Sony, and they weren't even halfway through the show at this point, because then all of a sudden we get something else. Freaking huge announcement. Actually, this is arguably bigger than Final Fantasy VII Remake. I don't think it is, but for some people it will be, and that is of course Shenmue 3. I mean, wow. I totally expected Microsoft to do a Shenmue 3 reveal last gen on the Xbox 360. I kind of like, you know, after the Shenmue 2 on the Xbox, you kind of like thought, oh well, it's going to be Microsoft, isn't it, that's going to invest in a sequel to this. But apparently it was Sony that did well, I don't know, actually I don't really get what's going on with this, because they did like a little Kickstarter thing, and apparently I've just read that they actually got the $2 million that they were aiming for within 14 hours or something like that. And that's pretty crazy, that is. But I don't really get that, because it's going to cost a lot more than $2 million to develop, is it not? You know, the original Shenmue was like $70 million or something to make. It was like the most expensive game of all time. And when of course the Dreamcast kind of flopped, and that game kind of flopped with it, that's pretty much what hurt Sega the most, I think. But you know, I don't really see how they're going to make Shenmue 3 with $2 million. They're not going to make it with $2 million, are they? Surely not. There's going to be more to it than that. But I don't know, some people are saying that Sony will help pay for the development, but I don't really get that either, because it's going to be on the PC as well. Are Sony really going to fund development for a game that's multi-platform? I mean, they're kind of doing it with Street Fighter V, but I think they're pretty much paying for the PS4 version of the game. They're not paying for the overall development of it. So that's why it's console exclusive to the PS4, but in terms of Shenmue 3, I don't really get how it's going to work, unless of course they cancel the PC version, which I hope they don't, because that'll probably be the version I play. I mean, I don't know, to be honest. I mean, I say that I really want to play some of these games on the PC, because that's where they're obviously going to be better, but at the same time you kind of want to play them on the console, because the console is where you've played a lot of games, you know, like even the original Final Fantasy VII and the original Metal Gear Solid, etc, etc, etc. It's all happened on console. When you play games for the first time on the PC, I don't think this nostalgia factor works quite as well. I don't really know what I'm talking about, but you know, in a way you kind of get what I'm trying to say. It's kind of like you want to play them on the PC, you want to play the best version, but you also want to play it on a console, because that's pretty much where everyone else is playing it. And if you don't play it on the console, you kind of feel like you're missing out in a way, because you're playing it on the wrong platform, even though the PC version is going to be the best version. So I don't know, to be honest. I mean, I'll definitely have something to play Fallout 4 Game of the Year edition whenever that lands, which will probably be like a year after. But getting back to Fallout 4, it looks like they're using the Xbox One as the lead platform. I hope that doesn't lead to any actual holding back of the PS4 version, and hopefully not the PC. But they're usually pretty good with the PC, so I won't really judge that. But you know, anyways, getting back to it. So yeah, Shenmue 3, big deal. These two games alone pretty much won E3 for Sony. But yeah. After that though, I pretty much just started losing interest after that, to be honest. Sony's E3 kind of went downhill after that. They started doing the whole exclusive DLC stuff again, and it's just kind of getting a little bit annoying now. Basically, let me just point out this fact for now, right? Microsoft pretty much started this whole shit off in the first place, so you can't really blame Sony for this entirely, but Sony's the one who's continuously starting to do it now. I don't really recall any exclusive DLC announced at Microsoft's conference. There probably was. I mean, the Division, and there's probably a few games actually, but I've just like kind of didn't pick up on them. But you know, Sony is starting to do it as well, and it's just kind of getting annoying though. But you know, Sony always has this little part of E3 where they come out and they're like, now let's talk about the third-party games, and then the short trailer, and it's always Assassin's Creed. It's like, oh, here's the next Assassin's Creed. Oh wow, I didn't expect that. And then the Assassin's Creed trailer plays, and then at the end of the Assassin's Creed trailer, we get some stupid ass DLC name, or you know, exclusive to the PS4, and then they come on stage, oh, and you'll be able to play this on PS4 when it's released on PS4, blah 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 blah. And they did that with Assassin's Creed, and they did it with Batman. I mean, who cares about Batman really? You're gonna play it no matter what platform you've got anyway. But we pretty much already knew Batman was getting exclusive DLC anyway, because correct me if I'm wrong, but Batman Arkham games always get exclusive DLC on the PlayStation anyway. Arkham Asylum did, Arkham Origins did. I don't know about Arkham City though. I don't actually remember that getting an exclusive DLC, but it probably did. But anyway, the Batman trailer was weird because you actually played as some cop getting poisoned from Scarecrow or something, and then it was like a first-person shooter segment. You're basically shooting zombies or whatever they are. Obviously you're hallucinating, but yeah, it just kind of was weird playing as anything but Batman, or the other superheroes of course. And it kind of spoilt the game as well. We all know that Batman's actually going to die in this one now. There was actually some limited edition announced like a few months ago, and it basically includes a statue, and it was something written on the base of it saying, you know, blah blah blah, in memory of the Dark Knight or something like that. So it was pretty obvious that Batman was going to die at the end of the game. And then in the trailer last night, it pretty much opened up, this is how the Batman died or some shit like that. So you pretty much just like know what's going to happen at this point, but you know, you saw it coming anyways. He's probably not going to die anyway. He's probably going to do a little escape thing like he does in the Dark Knight Rises, but still. But yeah, and then of course they had Call of Duty Black Ops 3, or whatever it's called. Is it Black Ops 3? I don't really know because I don't really play Call of Duty, but yeah, Microsoft's little, I already mentioned this, but yeah, apparently Microsoft's little contract with Activision is up. Sony's now pretty much taken over it, so all DLC is pretty much timed exclusive on PlayStation, I think. And it's probably going to be mostly the exclusive marketing and whatnot. So you know, it's little petty stuff like that. To be honest, I really wish they would stop with this exclusive DLC, exclusive marketing, because it benefits absolutely nobody at all, besides the console holder themselves, like either Sony or Microsoft. I mean, just, you know, spend that money on making your own games, make actual exclusive games. If I was to fault Sony's conference, it would be the lack of first party reveals, to be honest. I mean, The Last Guardian was pretty much the only thing. I don't know about, what was that? What's that other game that everyone's always going on about? Gravity Rush 2. I don't know if that was announced. I didn't see anything on that, so I'm guessing probably not. It's probably going to be at Tokyo Game Show. Hopefully, for the Vita. Hopefully it's, what's it called? Hopefully it's like, you know, a lot of people are hoping for a PS4 version, but hopefully, at the very, very least, it's on PS4 and Vita. And hopefully it's not just like, you know, all of a sudden, oh, it's PS4 only now, you know, screw Vita owners. I don't think Sony would do that though, to be honest, because at the end of the day, it's a Japanese focused game, and the PS Vita in Japan is doing pretty well, and that's probably why World of Final Fantasy is PS4 and Vita, to be honest. So yeah. Talking about World of Final Fantasy though, that game looks pretty decent actually. I might check it out. But it looks more of a handheld game to me, to be honest, so I'll probably get it on the Vita. I might get a Vita either this year or next year. I was going to actually get one last year, but I decided to get the Wii U instead. But I'm gonna talk about the Wii U in a minute, because honestly, you can't not talk about Nintendo this E3, because they're absolute disgustingly bad. It's not even, seriously, it's just, I'll get to Nintendo in a minute, but yeah, I've got some things to talk about there. But back to Sony though. They pretty much closed the conference with Uncharted 4 demo. It didn't work actually. That was like the only mistake, if I'm not wrong, that was like the only mistake out of pretty much everyone's conference. Basically, the game, I think it was pre-recorded, to be honest. I don't know if anyone was on stage actually playing the game, but it came up at first saying Sony Computer Entertainment, and then it was just like, it was stuck on that logo for about 30 seconds. Then the game started, whatnot, Drake and Sully went out the door, and then when the game actually started to play after the cutscene, Drake was basically just stood there waiting for the, you know, obviously waiting for the person to play the game. I think it was actually being played on the stage, it wasn't pre-recorded. So yeah, it was like, you know how a character just like stands there and he's like doing all little animations, waiting for the person to actually do something. He was just kind of stood there for ages, not doing anything, and then all of a sudden the demo pretty much got rebooted, and we had to watch the whole opening sequence again. And then of course somebody obviously was there and actually got on with the game. I don't know, maybe there was like some sort of controller issue or something, but yeah, but once the demo started going, I've said quite a bit of stuff about not really wanting Uncharted 4, but I've got to be honest, that demo was pretty damn good. I'd actually put that demo above the Uncharted 2 demo easily. It was... Everyone liked the Uncharted 2 demo, but I think this demo was definitely better. I mean, Uncharted 2, someone put it best. What did they say again? Uncharted 2, basically, when they showed Uncharted 2's demo, no one really expected it to be as good as it was, so everyone was blown away. Whereas now, when you watch a Naughty Dog presentation, it's you know it's going to be mind blowing, so you're kind of prepared for it. And so basically, in a way, the Uncharted 2 demo was more mind blowing because we didn't expect it to be that good. But pretty much the Uncharted 4 demo, in my opinion, was way better than the Uncharted 2 demo. The whole car sequence was good. You know, it's just everything about Naughty Dog's games are just like really, really detailed. You can't really fault anything, to be honest. The only fault was the mistake at the beginning, because the controller had obviously been disconnected or some weird shit like that. But it could have been worse. They could have the controller could have been disconnected while playing the game, like it did on, I think it was one of the Call of Duty games, on a previous E3 at the Microsoft conference, and the controller, I think it was actually Battlefield 3, I think, and it was the guy was playing the game and it just disconnected or some shit like that. It was pretty funny. It is pretty funny when mistakes happen though. But yeah, they ended the show with that, and it was just like, yeah, Sony won E3 easily. Sony normally always wins E3 though. They pretty much just after E3 2006, they pretty much just had like the best show each year. Like every year, they always come with like massive like reveals and stuff, and you're kind of like wondering how are they going to top this next year, and they normally always do, but I don't think they're going to top this year. You can't top Final Fantasy VII Remake and Shenmue 3 and a Naughty Dog demo. I mean, yeah, there might be another Naughty Dog demo like 2 years from now for something else like The Last of Us 2, but you're not going to have like all three bang bang bang, you know, Final Fantasy VII Remake, Shenmue 3, and then a Naughty Dog demo. You know, the only way they could have topped that is with a Santa Monica demo of something like, I don't know, well, maybe not necessarily God of War 4, but I think they are actually making God of War 4. I don't think they're making a new IP. That's something else as well. Apparently Guerrilla Games' new IP, I think it's called Horizon or something. I missed that. I can't really comment on that. I need to look that up, so I apologise, but you know, I will be making another video on this game tomorrow, because this level's going to take 2 parts anyway. Normally these 3 levels take about 3.5 hours, so yeah. A lot of you are probably not even checking the game out. They probably just listen to me, but you know, I'm basically playing this game because I played through the whole main game, and this is now the expansion pack, but there's like 60 levels to get through, so I'm pretty much taking my time with it. But the main reason I'm doing this now is because it's one of those games where you don't really need to concentrate on anything. You can just like let it run as I'm doing, and it's pretty much the best game to play. I use the term loosely, but it's pretty much the best game to play while discussing stuff like this. So yeah, so that's why I'm doing this and then discussing E3 at the same time. Anyway, so yeah, so Sony's E3, pretty damn awesome. And now we move on to Nintendo's E3, which was about, well, it was a couple of hours ago now, but honestly, I mean, you wonder sometimes why some companies even turn up to this event, to be honest. I mean, I've stuck up for Nintendo a lot in some of my videos discussing, you know, the whole industry and stuff like that, but Nintendo is actually starting to really annoy me with amiibos now. That is pretty much what their show was all about. Amiibo this, amiibo that. If you don't have an amiibo, you're pretty much locked out of 90% of the game. Okay, obviously I'm exaggerating there, but you pretty much are locked out of quite a bit of content if you don't have the amiibos. Basically, amiibos, if you haven't really looked into what amiibos are, if you didn't watch E3, if you're not into Nintendo, I'll explain. Basically, amiibos are kind of like Skylanders, kind of like Disney Infinity figures. You basically get the figure, and the base has like a little chip on it or whatever, and the Wii U gamepad has like a little triangle thing. You basically put the base of the figure onto the gamepad little chip reader thing, and it basically interacts with the game. Basically, amiibos are Nintendo's answer to DLC. Instead of doing DLC, which they do DLC as well, but instead of doing as much DLC as other companies, they basically are doing a thing where you buy an amiibo and you get content through using the amiibo in the game, if you understand what I mean. So it's basically, if you don't have this amiibo, then you don't get this content. And some games have content for about, I don't even know how many amiibos there are, but there's probably like at least 30. Some games use like pretty much like 10 or 15 amiibos, so you've got to own like 10 or 15 amiibos to get all the content on a certain game, and an amiibo costs about $15. So $15 times 30, there's your Nintendo DLC. Thank you very much. No thanks. For the record, I don't have an amiibo, but I don't know, I mean, I kind of wanted an amiibo just for like collection purposes, because they're pretty decent figures, but to be completely honest, I don't really want to buy anything Nintendo after what's happened today. I'm kind of done with them, to be honest. You know, I would go through what they actually announced, but I can't really do that because there wasn't really a whole lot there. There was, if you have a 3DS, then you're pretty much okay, but if you don't have a 3DS, or you don't like the 3DS, and you only have a Wii U like me, you pretty much didn't get a damn thing. And honestly, Nintendo pretty much needed to announce something this year, because it's getting really stupid now. What was it? They announced I think they announced. They might have announced 2 games actually. The only game that I remember that they announced, and it looks fun for about 10 minutes, is Super Mario Tennis, which looked pretty fun, but like I say, for about 10 minutes. You're gonna be done with it after about 10 minutes. It's one of those games that's like, you know, it's fun at first, and then it starts to drag, and then you just kind of want to play something else. There was something else announced as well. There was actually something not part of the conference though, which kind of redeemed Nintendo, and that is a new Fatal Frame has been announced. Why this wasn't part of the conference, I don't know. A lot of people are asking the exact same thing. Nobody knows why. The only reason I can come up with is because they don't want to show, you know, emulated games in a Nintendo Direct, which is completely freaking stupid if you think about it, because everybody, you know, why does Nintendo's like, you know, all about this like games for everyone type of thing, but they won't cater to like, you know, teens or adults. You know, there's more than just kids playing your system, you know, Nintendo. I mean, obviously most of them are kids, but that's because you're forcing that kind of audience on your system. If you actually appealed to, you know, more mature audiences, then more people would actually buy the system. But anyways, it's still not enough to redeem Nintendo's show, to be honest. It was just absolutely pathetic. Wasted time watching it, if I'm honest. Even on the 3DS front, you didn't get a whole lot. You got, I think there was like 2 new Zeldas announced. There was one called Triforce something. I can't remember what it was called. And then there was another one called, I think it was Hyrule Warriors Legends. So it's basically Hyrule Warriors on the 3DS, I think. I don't really know, and I don't really care. That's really about it. Actually, no, there was actually something else. I got kind of hyped for a minute, but then I realised that the graphics weren't up to snuff, and then I suddenly realised what it was. Basically, Metroid started coming around. You could tell it was Metroid, and after a little while I was like, alright, yeah, these graphics aren't quite what they should be, so it's obviously a 3DS game. So yeah, they announced Metroid Prime. What was it called? Metroid Prime. Not Metroid Prime. It was Metroid Prime something, but was it called Metroid Prime Fusion or something? I don't know. But it's basically a 3DS game. It's an actual 3D Metroid game though, but it's like an arena style game. I don't think there's even a storyline to it or anything. But it's not 2D. But it's, you know, it's still, it should. it was kind of disappointed. I mean, you kind of thought, oh, here comes Metroid. I mean, at least they actually are making another Metroid game for a change, but, you know, after that, I was like kind of expecting, alright, so they're gonna, you know, do something like how they did Metroid Prime and Metroid Fusion back on the Game Boy / GBA. I mean, you know, the GBA and the GameCube. But unfortunately, they didn't announce a Wii U Metroid alongside with it, so it was kind of like, oh, okay, we're not getting it then. And then they briefly like touched on the NX. They mentioned it, but they didn't really talk about it. But some people are saying, I'm actually well, I don't know what to think, to be honest. But some people are saying that oh shit, what's going on here? Oh well. Hold on a sec. Alright, shorten that queue a little bit because it was really long. Yeah. What was I saying? NX, yeah. People are saying that they're gonna just scrap the Wii U and just release the NX. If they do that, right, I'm gonna tell you right now, I'm not buying another Nintendo system ever again. Because if, you know, it's stupid. Sony messed up with the PS3 at launch, with the whole price and the games and whatnot, but they still continued supporting it, and eventually it ended up being, like, in my opinion, the best system of last gen. It had, a lot of people say the 360 was the best system of last gen. I just don't agree with that. I think, you know, the PS3 had some weak multiplats, but in terms of exclusives, it pretty much had the best games. I mean, it had, you know, what, God of War, Uncharted, MotorStorm, you know, Demon's Souls. Oh yeah, that's another game as well. Microsoft Conference, Dark Souls 3. So yeah, but you know, PS3, they still continued making games for it and still kind of tried to make it a success, which eventually it was a success. Obviously, it didn't win the generation in terms of sales, but it sure as hell gave it a damn good shot, and it actually ended up outselling the 360 lifetime sales. But, you know, the point is, they still continue making games for it, and they continue trying to make it a success, and eventually it did end up a success. Nintendo, if they're going to pull the plug on the Wii U and just give up, then that pretty much is me done with them, to be honest. I don't care. I mean, you know, like I've said before, if they don't announce any more games for it, it doesn't matter, because it's going to be my emulator box anyway, and you know, hell, it's going to actually make it easier for me, to be honest, because if they don't announce, if they're not going to make any more games for it, then I'll just stop updating my system and you know, enjoy all the homebrew that's released for the damn thing, because, you know, if Nintendo's not going to develop for it, then I'll just, you know, let the modders develop for it instead and give me games that way. At least I'll get some entertainment out of that. But, you know, like I say, it's my emulator box, so it's still going to get regular use. But yeah, this whole Nintendo Direct was an absolute joke, and then for some reason we started getting like little lessons on what Nintendo was doing through the 80s. Oh, we made, oh yeah, Mario's 30 years old this year. This is how we made the game. Okay, this is E3, not GDC, you know. I didn't come here to listen to you how to develop a game. You know, Mario Maker is getting pushed so hard, and it's not even, I don't even give a shit about this game. I can already mod Mario levels. It's called, you know, ROM modifications. You can do this already. People have been doing this for years. Have you ever seen that Mario frustration video on YouTube? It's pretty funny. But, you know, you can make whatever you want already. I don't even know if the game has online share. You know, if you make a level and you share it online, I mean, if the game was released on any other platform, that would be a very basic feature. But with Nintendo, you've got to always double check that. Oh, you know, does this game have online? Does this game have online sharing abilities? Does it have, you know, voice chat? I mean, apparently Splatoon, the game that's pretty much Nintendo's shooter and is so focused on online multiplayer, doesn't allow you to communicate online. I don't know if that's true. That's what I've read though, and if it's true, then it's just stupid. You know, Nintendo really needs to start listening to the fans and actually delivering on some games. I don't even know why I've got this open, because I don't need it. It's pretty much the park value that we need to focus on. I think it's 999. It's 17,000. Just build a bunch of roller coasters. It's not hard. Anyways, yeah, it's just wow. You know, the 3DS got more games, despite the fact that the 3DS doesn't need games. Basically, the 3DS is a success anyway. I mean, yeah, obviously continue supporting it, but the Wii U kind of needs the games. You know, hell, the Vita actually got a game that looks freaking decent. The Wii U didn't. Not until Fatal Frame was announced. I haven't really checked Fatal Frame out though. I don't know what it's called. I don't think it's called Fatal Frame 5. I think it's you know, they've gone with a subtitle for it. But yeah, the Vita got a game. Wow, that never really happens. You know, it's, I don't know, man. I seriously don't know. And then the thinking, if this NX console is going to come out, right? Apparently it's an Android device, so you can download Android games for it. Apparently, that's all well and good, but most people already have an Android device for this kind of thing, so it's not really going to save the system. But here's the real thing: why would you release a new system when your current one is failing simply because it doesn't have games? You know, if you're going to release a new console, but you're going to have the same problem. You're not going to release enough games for it, just like the Wii U. Simply put, if you release the games for it, then the sales will go up. So you can pretty much, it's going to have the same problem unless you start actually getting, you know, some sort of like game release schedule going for it, because honestly it's going to have the exact same problem. And yeah, if apparently some people are speculating that Zelda for the Wii U has been cancelled and it's now going to be an NX exclusive. If that's the case, then I am done with Nintendo, no matter what they release at this point. I just couldn't care less. You know, you're gonna sell the system for however much money, and then you're just gonna like abandon it all of a sudden because it's not selling quite what you wanted. You know, Sony could have done that on about the PS3 at any point. Sony could have been, in 2008, after 2 years, Sony could have been like, well, you know, it's a failure, we're gonna release something else now, and just completely abandoned all those people that paid $600 at launch. But they didn't do that. They actually continued to support it, and eventually it was a successful system. But Nintendo apparently is just going to take the easy option, pull the plug, and that's that. And that's me done with the Nintendo line of consoles, because it's just completely, utterly stupid. You know, it's and then of course we got this Yoshi's Woolly World. I mean, they showed off Yoshi's Woolly World, and it looks okay actually. But you know, we've already seen this game. We want new stuff. We don't want to look at games that we've seen about 20 times already. We want to see new stuff announced. You know, They kind of need to look at what Sony and Microsoft are doing at their conferences and actually kind of take note, announce new stuff. Well, anyway, so that's pretty much E3 up until now. Square Enix is currently doing their I think that it's finished, but yeah, it's finished. But obviously by the time I upload this video, it'll be finished anyways. But what was I saying? Apparently there's been quite a few little goodies in Square Enix's conference though. They've announced Nier 2, which I've just mentioned. That's PS4 exclusive, so I don't think Square Enix has full confidence in the Xbox One, to be honest, if they're starting to go back to being exclusive to... I mean, we had this with the 360 at launch. They were releasing a bunch of exclusive 360 games. I don't know, man. Square Enix is just completely and utterly stupid sometimes, but you know, at least they're sort of starting to get back on track with their stuff. I say that, but Final Fantasy 15 was absent yet again. Anyways, yeah, so I've just seen the new Kingdom Hearts 3 trailer. It's got gameplay in it. It's actually quite far along by the looks of things. It looks quite, well, you can't really tell how far along it is in development. I mean, I saw one level. The level looks absolutely huge, though. It looks to me like, you know how the Kingdom Hearts games usually have, like, separate areas, like you run down a corridor, you go through a door, etc. But you know, like how on the Lion King, the Pride Lands level in Kingdom Hearts 2, where you've got like basically a big open expanse of land, but then it like shoots off into like directions, like separate areas. I don't know what level it was, but it looked like a big massive cliff face, but it was just one big level, so I don't know if like they're just like one big area now. I'm not sure, but it certainly looks like it. And the graphics look absolutely amazing, by the way. I very rarely say when a game looks amazing, but this looked really good. And Sora's new costume looks awesome as well. But yeah, it looks really good. What else? Star Ocean 5 is apparently being released in the States. I didn't even know there was a Star Ocean 5. But yeah, that's on the way. That's pretty much it, to be honest. I think I've pretty much covered everything. Like I say though, you know, there'll be a part 2 to this video tomorrow, because I need to do 2 parts of these levels. But yeah, anything that I've missed or that's been announced and I haven't discussed it, I'll pretty much put in that part. But I think I've pretty much covered the most of the major stuff. So yeah, just to recap, in terms of who won E3, Sony easily won, followed by probably Bethesda and Microsoft tied, and then of course Nintendo last. And like I said before, I don't watch EA or Ubisoft, so I don't know what's happened there, but apparently EA was awful and apparently Ubisoft was even worse. I'm not sure about that. What else? Oh yeah, the PC conference is coming up. I don't know what's going to be at that, to be honest. I don't know. It could be. Apparently there's some, like, I think there is going to be some hardware announcements, like new graphics cards and stuff like that, but in terms of actual game announcements, I think we've pretty much had them all at this point. Microsoft there was a Tomb Raider demo, which I don't know, man. I mean, I like the classic Tomb Raiders more, you know what I mean? I don't really do this new modern stuff. The new modern Tomb Raiders, it just doesn't look... It doesn't look like Tomb Raider to me, you know. I think they kind of just should have just made a new IP and give it a new name and give it a new blah 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 blah, but, you know, I can understand why they use the same name, because it's a big name in the game industry. pretty much since Tomb Raider 2, I think. Pretty much Tomb Raider 2 made it like the biggest name. It was you know, it was, I think Sony pretty much because I think they paid to get Tomb Raider 2 console exclusive to the PS1, because if you remember, the Tomb Raider 1 was on the Sega Saturn as well, and I think they were going to release Tomb Raider 2 on the Sega Saturn as well as the PS1, but Sony was like, no, we want it exclusive. Obviously it still came out on the PC though, but you know, after the pretty much paid for Tomb Raider 2, Lara Croft was on pretty much every PlayStation poster alongside Crash Bandicoot, you know, Heihachi Mishima, you know, Resident Evil. They were the big main PlayStation games and the biggest names in the game industry. So, you know, that's pretty much why the Tomb Raider name's as big as it is. And of course, the games were awesome anyway. I mean, I really like Tomb Raider 1, 2 and 3. Well, I like all the ones by Core actually, and the Crystal Dynamic ones are pretty good as well. But the new reboot, I don't know. I just don't really, you know, it's not really as, it's a good game, but it's not a good Tomb Raider game. You know, I think they should just call it something else. But yeah, so that's pretty much E3. Pretty much my thoughts on the whole thing. The biggest deal is Final Fantasy VII Remake. You know, like I say, it's my favourite game of all time. I'll be buying it regardless, but I don't really expect them to deliver 10 out of 10 with the remake. There's going to be some kind of mess up with it somewhere. And of course, when we actually finally get it, because honestly, I don't... it won't surprise me at all if we don't have this game in 5 years' time from now when it's re-revealed for the PS5. I could totally see that happening. Because, you know, we still don't have Final Fantasy 15, and it was a no-show at E3. And apparently they've actually took out Stella from there was a character called Stella basically. If you've watched the Final Fantasy Versus 13 trailers, she was the blonde one, I think. They've took her out now, so obviously they're rewriting the story yet again. I don't know what Tetsuya Nomura's doing, but he's got all these projects under his belt, and I think he's just doing far too much. They just need to slow down with these games. You know, they're bringing out all these different games for all these platforms, and they're just like totally spreading themselves out way too thin. But at least we finally got the game announced. I mean, you know, if you've been keeping track, we actually got the PS3 tech demo for Final Fantasy VII exactly 10 years ago. This E3, it was E3 2005 that we got the tech demo for PS3 of Final Fantasy VII. So 10 years later, we've just now had the actual remake announced, and you know, 5 years from now we might actually have it. I'm not sure, but it wouldn't surprise me at all. So yeah, that's pretty much E3 done and dusted, really. Overall though, it's been a good year. FF7 was the biggest announcement, and Fallout 4 the biggest deal in terms of who had the best demo. It was Fallout by far, because Bethesda always delivers. I mean, it might be a glitchy game when it releases, but it's definitely going to have fun factor written all over it, and it's definitely going to be worth $60. You know, I've said it before, Bethesda could charge $100 for their games and people would still buy them because it's totally worth that and more. You know, you get like at least 100 hours out of a Fallout game if you're like me and you go around exploring everything. You know, I sometimes I go into a vault and I go around checking all the containers, I check out all the terminals. Sometimes I could spend like a couple of hours just in one vault. But it's one of those games, you know. You play. Some people go in blasting stuff. Some people sneak in and take things out stealthily. I'm one of the sneaky people, so you know. Even then, you know, like if I go into a dungeon, for example, and there's loads of corridors, loads of enemies, I'll probably spend a good 30-40 minutes plus slowly taking out each guy. And that's just the way I play, though. It's just like I prefer playing games stealth and not going in all guns blazing. I mean, it's obviously fun to go all guns blazing anyway. You know, I might make a save and just go all guns blazing and then reload the save and then do it how I usually do it. But it's one of those games. That's why I prefer like Western RPGs nowadays, because you can just play it however you want. You don't have to, you know, it's like Todd said, you go up to the Mr. Gutsy and you can follow him if you want, you can walk away, you can shoot him in the face. It's one of those games, you just do whatever the hell you want and you just enjoy. It gives you that freedom. Not many games do that, especially RPG. I mean, you know, if you buy like an RPG, well, pretty much some RPGs are more like giving you that freedom now, but you know, most of them you get a quest and there's like only one way of dealing with the quest, whereas Bethesda gives you like multiple choices. There's always a choice, and you can completely screw the quest up by just killing everybody related to the quest. Obviously, if it's the main quest, then sometimes it'll, you know, make the character unconscious and then they'll get up after a while, but you know, it's all good. And that's another thing with Bethesda's games as well. The AI is not 100% realistic. It's like kind of stupid, so you can actually have some fun with the AI. Some people go on and on and on about having like ultra realistic AI, and I personally prefer having dumb AI because it actually makes it more fun. You know, if you've watched any of those videos where people like basically, the Fallout 3 ones are the best one. You know, like Death Claw at your birthday party or whatever. And it's just funny seeing the AI just like react to whatever's going on. Like you type in a command and spawn whatever, and then shit just gets out of hand, and it's just like, it's funny. You don't even have to play the game. You're just like basically watching what's happening. That's kind of why I like Bethesda so much. I mean, say what you will. I mean, glitchy games, but damn awesome games. You know, they're totally just, I just wouldn't, I don't want a realistic game from Bethesda. I want just a crazy, wacky ass game, and that's exactly what we're getting with Fallout 4. Yep. The only thing I will say about, by the way, if you haven't watched my reaction video for it, by the way, there is a part where I'm like, is that a Cazador? Yes, I know it's not. It looks more like a mosquito, but a massive ass giant mosquito. It's probably going to have the same effect as a Cazador, though. It's probably going to suck your blood and you're going to have like some kind of weird poison for the next like 30 seconds, and it's constantly draining your health. But you know, can't wait to play it. The only thing I will say though is that I didn't see any Enclave at all. I mean, Enclave for life, seriously. I want to join the Enclave. I hope this game like actually lets you join. You kind of joined them in Fallout New Vegas, but not really. You got the power armor, but you know, I want to actually kind of join. You know, kind of like how New Vegas had like multiple like tree options or whatever. So like you go down the NCR tree, you'd go down the Kaiser's Legion tree, etc. But they kind of need to, hopefully Bethesda's like learned some things from Obsidian and like kind of like made the quest more like open. That's what I said before, though. I kind of think that Bethesda should have like got Obsidian to write the game, or at least have some sort of like input on quests and whatnot. But then obviously let Bethesda make the game, because they are better developers than Obsidian. Obsidian have very bad glitchy games. I know that Bethesda's engine isn't the best, but they still kind of know how to use it better than pretty much anyone else, obviously because they wrote it, but you know, so we'll see what happens with that. Yeah, that's pretty much it, man. E3 2015, probably the best E3 we've had for a long ass time. You know, I always say after E3, like, I'm disappointed, stuff always gets leaked, which it kind of did again this year, but it's still delivered. The only thing that didn't deliver was Nintendo, but whatever, man. I don't know what. I really don't know what Nintendo's. I mean, their little Nintendo Direct thing didn't even go on for an hour. It was like 45 minutes or something, and I was like, well, what, is that it? I think I pretty much went on NeoGAF afterwards, and everyone was like asking, you know, is that it? And it's like, yep, that's it. It's just wow. Really, really, really disappointing. We got a new Fatal Frame, that's about it. They just kept going on about Mario Maker. I mean, whoa, I don't even care about Mario Maker that much. It's cool that you can make your own levels and stuff, but like I say, you've been able to do that with ROMs for a long time. It's not really new. So yeah, so I'm actually going to concentrate on this game a little bit now, so that's pretty much the E3 discussion over and done with. If there's anything new announced, or I've missed anything, I'll try and bring it up in the next part of this, because I'll be doing this again tomorrow. Finish this level off, and then after that I'll go back to Lego Star Wars 2, because I'm going to try and get 100% on that. So yeah. So now I'm going to concentrate on this level. It's actually kind of a difficult level, actually, because it's actually not that big. It's a long, skinny level, so to get the value up, it's going to be quite difficult. I've got to like basically get $10,000 more on that. So you pretty much need to build a crap load of. Well, actually, there's quite a bit of space there. I can probably fit another 2 or 3 roller coasters along there. And of course I can also go under the ground, remove trees if I need to. So it's not quite as hard as that other one. What was that other one? Oh, I don't know what it was. I haven't played this game for like 3 weeks. Wow, everything's broken. But yeah, I'll hire some more security guards as well. I'll hire another. Damn, I shouldn't have closed that. Hire another one of those. Right now, replace the benches. It's also pretty funny as well. After the show, they were like, "Oh, if you can't wait to get your hands on Mario Maker," and I was like, "What are you gonna say? Download a ROM and just modify that?" Which is pretty much what you're gonna probably just do anyway. But no, they said if you want to get your hands on Mario Maker now, then go to a Best Buy between whatever date and whatever date, and it's like, what the hell? Go to Best Buy. Why not just put the demo on the freaking eShop or whatever? Just release a demo. It's not even that big of a deal anyway, and I don't really know anyone who wants to get their hands on it early anyway, because it's not I know some people are hyped for it, but it's not really a groundbreaking game if you think about it. It's just like, you can pretty much already do what you can do in that game. You've been able to do that for years on ROMs. Just modify the game. I think Nintendo's just starting to lose it, to be honest. I wouldn't be surprised if the NX, whether it be a handheld or a home console or 2-in-1, whatever, I wouldn't be surprised if that's their last home console and they just end up doing a Sega and just making games for other platforms, because really they're just so out of touch with the industry, the fans. It's getting kind of like embarrassing. I mean, that the Nintendo Direct didn't even deliver on anything. I mean, even if you don't have a Wii U and you only have a 3DS, there still wasn't a whole lot there. Most of the discussion, I'll tell you what there was about 5% into. Actually, no, there was another Wii U game out. The Wii U game was Animal Crossing. There was some sort of weird Animal Crossing game for the Wii U. I don't think it's a traditional Animal Crossing though. But yeah, that was the other game. So yeah, getting back to what I was going to say. In terms of what went on at Nintendo's Direct, I'd say about 5% covered Wii U, 15% on 3DS, about 30% on Mario Maker and the whole 1985. This whole discussion thing, they were going on about stuff like, oh, jumping over the first pit, and most people missed the first pit. Are you kidding me? Some people can't jump over the first pit in Super Mario. Okay. What, have they never played a game before? Even if you've never played a game before, you press a bunch of buttons and find out what happens, and then you jump over the gap. It's not really that hard. I think, you know, who missed the first gap? Probably like 1 in 100 people missed the first gap in Super Mario. Anyway, getting back to it. So yeah, about, what was it? 5% Wii U, 15% 3DS, about 30% on Mario Maker and people who can't play games to save their life because everyone has made that jump, and then a 50% on going on and on and on about these amiibos that you shouldn't even have to buy. I mean, come on, man, seriously, they're shoving these amiibo games down people's throats. Every game they announce, it's like, oh, if you have an amiibo, you can do this and this and this, and you know, I don't want to buy an amiibo. Can I just like buy the game and get the content? I'll just make traditional. I'll take traditional DLC. I'll take freaking season pass over that crap. I'd take Batman Arkham Knight's $40 season pass over that. It's a joke. Or if you've got an amiibo, you can dress up as Super Mario, and you know, I don't want to do that. I just want to play the game. That's like me saying, oh, you know, if you want to, I don't know, whatever. It's just stupid. Let's just like not talk about it anymore, because I'm getting kind of pissed. It's just unnecessary garbage in a game. It's the worst form of DLC I've ever seen, having to buy an actual figure to access certain features. I mean, in a way, they started doing this with Mario Kart and Super Smash Brothers, and it was actually kind of a cool idea, but now that they're putting it in every single game that they announce, it's just getting really old and really annoying. I wanted the Link amiibo, because that's pretty much the only one that I wanted, but it was only to actually have the figure. I wasn't really bothered about content in the game, but it seems like you do actually need it now. Pretty soon you won't even be able to start the game without an amiibo. It'll be like, instead of press start, it'll be like, you know, scan your amiibo to start the game. Absolute horse shit. Scan your arse to start the game. How about that? Some people are like, oh, I'm selling my Wii U. I'm not selling my Wii U, because like I said, it's my emulator box. But If they're going to abandon it, then I'm just going to stop updating it and get homebrew on that crap. You know, on the actual Wii U part of it, because you know, I've got the whole homebrew channel thing on the Wii mode, but the Wii U itself, I don't know if there's actually any. There's some sort of WebKit going on or something, but yeah. Anyway, so yeah, that's pretty much E3 discussion, and that's pretty much the end of part 1 of this level. I mean, I know I haven't done much. I need to actually focus on this in the next part, because I need to like really raise this park value. But yeah, so stay tuned, and thanks for watching, and I hope you agree with my opinions. If you don't agree, well, discuss in the comments. And also, what would you rate the E3 conferences? Stay tuned for part 2.